Alright, so here we are. It's April 7th, 2020, 2020. This is Chris with the Age of Reason. And I'm just gonna go over a couple things that are just in my brain. Just some mental thoughts, some food for thought, some mental snacks. Keywords to associate in your own head more than anything. There's not really gonna be a lot of meat and potatoes to this, a lot of context to this. So, during this so-called Trump presidency, we've had this media psychological operation called Q brought to the front for people who still need to believe that, I guess Kennedy is going to come back. Kennedy being a king and Trump, the Don King. Don is a word for king. Um, anyway, people want to think that these things come together under some great Christian or Jesus, some kind of messianic salvation, but that's just not how it is. It's just not the way. It's not true. It's all bullshit. So I don't know how old you are who are listening. Me, I was born in 1978. I remember watching Star Trek: The Next Generation on television, and I remember Q. Okay, and there is where you get your Q in the media from. Q always leads to the Borg. Q led the Enterprise crew to the Borg, and the Borg was the gray race, the assimilated gray race that was incapable of reproducing itself rather genetically. It strictly had to assimilate, and it was a worker drone society, a worker drone creation, and with how fast they've worked to shut everyone down on such a sudden level, virtually overnight. It seems as though, you know, well, there's something bigger going on. We know that, but it seems as though maybe they are trying to push some form of a Q meets the Borg kind of thing. Where you will become assimilated and resistance is futile. Because this Q phenomenon will give you the thought that somehow things were happening behind the scenes and you did have a savior in the flesh form of mankind, to unify your country, unify your currency, unify your perception of the world. So we have, let's also come back with, so we have Q, we have Trump, and we have the so-called Space Force. Okay, which sounds like it's right out of a fucking comic book to start with. The Space Force! They couldn't have thought of anything better, All right, NASA, National Aeronautics, Space, and something, I don't know. Shouldn't that have been the Space Force? It doesn't matter. Okay, NASA's bullshit. NASA's nothing but rocket science. It's rocketry. That's all NASA works on. It's just rocketry. So we had the Space Force. Let's put some more keywords in our brains. We're not doing much with this video here. We're just putting keywords in our brains. Reagan talking about, what if there was an alien threat to unify the world? Would we all come together then if aliens were waiting outside our planet to destroy us? So, Q, the Borg, Space Force, aliens. Alright? There's just some keywords to jump off with. Okay, we know that they're going to pull something. We don't know what. We don't know how long it's going to take. It might take another 9 years. It might take longer, it might take less. We know that they are going to work to unfold things by the books. And when I say the books, I mean the Torah, the Talmud, the Quran, and the Gospel. They're going to work to unfold these things by the books that mankind has already been given. So he can see the signs and he can have a feeling and a connection to them. Okay? We know these things. So we know they control the media. We know they control your life, your brain through their media. So, Q, Don, the king, Kennedy, the king, the prince, Borg, the gray race, a sexless society, Me Too movement, MGTOW, regardless of whether there are good thoughts on MGTOW or not, it does, the system has already been designed to steer men and women apart. Okay, so we have Me Too, the division of women away from men, and even the damaging of men, and then we have MGTOW for men going their own way because they're trying to protect themselves. All right, so we have the separation. All right, Q, the king, the prince, the division, Space Force, aliens, the fake thing known as in the media as aliens. What happened with Storm Area 51? Let's see them aliens. All right. These are just thoughts for you to hem over in your own brain. It would be cool if you did. I don't have all the time in the world. I don't watch the media, so I don't read the media. I'm a dad first full time. So what I do is try to put some things together when I can. Some of my videos have a little bit more production than others. This is not going to be one of the ones that has a lot of production in it. I'm not going over web pages or anything like that. A lot of these channels, these guys out there, they have the time available to do that, and that's fine. But look for things that you see out there and put them together too. All right. Space Force, what a laughable joke. Reagan, think if aliens came, would we unite then? And of course, during the Reagan administration, we had the so-called fall of the Berlin Wall, which was, of course, just the masking of communism into capitalism. That's all that it was. This is always about communism. It's always about money. It's always about control and reducing living men and women to slaves, one way or another. Bad Religion released an album called The Gray Race. You might want to check it out. There might be some food for thought in that. That was released a long time ago now. All kinds of stuff out there. But it seems like they're pulling some kind of quickening here with this. And we say quickening, but we don't know how long it's going to take. They move slowly through the ages. They say that it takes, 3 generations to completely change the mind of a status, of a state, of a country. And they have no problem operating on those terms because they own the money. They own everything. So I'm gonna put this back in your head again. You've already heard it from me like 20 times. It's just about keywords. Q, Trump, Prince, Kennedy, King, aliens, Space Force. We know they're going to give us a new currency. You have to take the mark to take the currency. I don't know. But the Q led to the Borg, and the Borg is an assimilated creation that does not speak for itself, that lives through a hive mind, that is a sexless, genderless, and raceless creation. It spreads itself through acts of warfare, kidnapping, torture, and things like that. So it is a malignant force, but it is the force of a mind, of a common mind, a hive mind. All right, and the Borg had a queen versus a king, and the queen is coronated. So you have Corona too. Okay, coronate the queen. Borg, Q, Trump, Prince, Kennedy, PSYOP, space aliens, Reagan. Just feed your brain, guys, alright? So, I'll be back later on when I have time. Daddy duty calls. Actually, my coffee pot calls, so I'll catch up with you guys later. This is Chris at the Age of Reason, reminding you all, as always, keep both eyes, all three eyes opened at all times and pay attention and think for yourself. Not everybody who has a channel that is giving you all this so-called theory, conspiracy theory, what you may say conspiracy fact, depending on how far into the kookiness you are. Not all these guys are giving you legitimate information. Case in point with the big 5G smear. 5G is for surveillance. It's going to be surveillance. The Borg has to be surveyed at all times. And if nobody's telling you that, then you better be leery of them. Especially if they're selling you a goddamn hoodie. Alright? The Borg needs surveillance. The Queen always knows where her drones are. Surveillance. This is about surveillance. This is about espionage. Catch up with you guys later.